Hi everybody. I hope that this video finds each one of you, your family and your friends, doing well, healthy and safe, and most importantly at peace during this horrific time that we're all experiencing in history right now. The reason I'm making this video is because so many of you have reached out and called and texted and emailed me over the past few weeks that it's almost impossible for me to get back to everybody individually. So I thought it would be beneficial if I made a video telling you what I feel about this whole situation, what has been told to me, and what I think we should expect from it in the future. So in order for me to do that, I have to base it on what I've learned through my mediumship, through my meditations, through my intuition work that I do. So for those of you who are on the same page, I hope that you can use it. I hope it benefits you in some way. And maybe you can use the information to go out and help others along the way. And I think that's the whole purpose of this. So in order for me to explain to you how I feel and why I've come to feel what I feel, I have to go back just a little bit of time, probably about the time that September 11th happened. And prior to September 11th, just a few months prior, I remember having this very unsettled feeling. I didn't quite know what it was. It was just a feeling of being off and things not going correctly, almost like a anxiety or a stressful feeling that I was anticipating something bad happening, not knowing exactly what would happen. And as it got closer to the date, this energy, this feeling got stronger and stronger and stronger. The morning of September 11th, I hadn't slept the night before. I just couldn't. I tossed and I turned, and I was feeling very unsettled, only to find out hours later that this horrific tragedy had happened. And all I could do at first was cry. Cry for not only the idea that we lost thousands of people, but more so, I cried for the idea that we had to go through it in order to learn something. Now, here's where people will differ in opinion from me. People think that things just happen and that's the way it goes. I'm a full believer in that everything happens for a reason and our lives are delegated by our actions. And so I then, after September 11th happened, sat in meditation often, asking for guidance, asking for an understanding, some kind of wisdom that would help me understand, what the purpose of this was. And what came to me over and over and over again was that it was meant to unite people, that it was meant to teach us the importance of compassion and empathy, and more so the fragility of life and the importance of time. And so with that, I had gone into Manhattan on a few occasions right after this had all happened. And what I saw was actually beautiful. I saw people gathering together, people who didn't know each other, people supporting and sharing and embracing each other. People were hugging, people were embracing, shaking hands. People were all feeling the same thing, and at that moment, they didn't see the differences of each other. They actually were sharing in a moment of love, of sadness, and of unity, which was something that I believe was beautiful. And that was the beauty that came out of September 11th. And I'm not saying that I'm happy it happened. I'm absolutely not saying that. But in every dark place, there's a light. In every bad situation, there's a circumstance that brings us to good. And so in time, as we started to go back to what our norm was, those same people weren't stopping to embrace. They began to get busy with their life again. They started to run into their routines of, what they needed to do and how they needed to make their lives and how they had to go out and do things to make their life better. It became sort of a selfish existence again. And I believe partially on some level, I believe that that's the reason why we had to go through that tragedy. And so people went back to their normal routines and started to separate a little bit again and not see they started to look at the differences of each other and point fingers and look for blame and reason for why this happened rather than the actual emotion that was there to teach us and strengthen within each one of us. And so it was an unfortunate situation, but still yet a lesson learned, and many people's lives obviously were changed by it. And as time went on after September 11th, everything was okay. I noticed a few warning signs to different changes that were approaching in our lives, but never really anything significant until about 2 or 3 years ago. I started to get that same feeling again, that anxious feeling within my stomach, the knowing that something bad was approaching, but not exactly knowing what. I started to get overwhelmed with it. And I remember at that time, many of my clients who came, along with my students in my classes, I had mentioned that I had this really odd feeling that something would happen with China, that something was going to be happening with China that would affect the entire world, but us specifically, we would lose thousands of people. And many of you, I thank you for calling to remind me that I said it. I know I did, and I thank you for that. I didn't understand the details of it, and I really couldn't get much more than just that. But I did say it to a lot of people. And the feeling I was getting around this situation was that of the same of September 11th. That there was a feeling like we needed to bring ourselves closer together. And so I was asking at that time, was asking Spirit, is there anything that we can do to change this? Is there anything that we can, or is this going to happen soon? Is this going to happen right away? And what I was told in meditation was that there would be consistent warning signs, that we would have tragedies and consistent warning signs, little tremors to lead up to another big situation. So I asked, what could that possibly be? And on occasion, visually, I would be shown a tornado or an earthquake, a tsunami or a flood or a fire. And these natural disasters, in my opinion, were the universe's way of saying, hey guys, wake up. Here's a little poke. Get awake. Become aware. Along with the mass shootings, which I also believe were other wake-up calls that we had in the universe to actually stop us in our tracks, to sit in a moment of calmness and look at something and change our direction. Unfortunately, again, people were so busy and caught up in their lives and trying so hard to make their life that they were not really embracing their spiritual side, which is, again, one of the main reasons why I believe these things are happening. And so this went on for quite some time, and we saw lots of them, natural disasters throughout the entire world, which I had mentioned to a lot of you also, were kind of a warning sign to lead up to something. Again, not knowing. Last November, prior to my annual spiritual awareness seminar and charity event, I oftentimes sit down and think about a topic I would like to speak about. And the seminar was revolving around healing, healing hearts and souls, how we could heal our physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual beings as we can heal to become better in so many different areas of our life. So I was asking Spirit again, like, what would you like me to talk about? What would be beneficial that could actually maybe slow down this landslide into another tragedy? Or what can I talk about that would help people understand and maybe raise up a little bit so that we wouldn't have to experience this difficulty? And so what I was told was, speak of the divide. And that's what kept being said to me. Speak of the divide. And I said, well, the divide in what? Can you clarify that to me? And I was hearing and understanding that what I was supposed to speak about was mending the divide within ourselves and then healing it throughout the entire world. And so let me tell you a little bit about what I believe with that. So each one of us, and those of us who are spiritual beings, will understand this greater than those who are not. But most of us have a faith and a belief that there's something beyond this, something that exists beyond this earth plane. And so in order to believe that, there must be some part of us that experiences that realm. And I believe that is our soul. And so we have a soul and a spirit. And then we also have the human side of us, which is humanity, that part of us that comes down here to actually, or here, I shouldn't say down here, to exist in a lower vibrational existence, to experience human emotions and experiences, to learn. And so our human side, which is our humanity, I believe, is run mostly through our intellect and our ego, which lies in our head. Our spirit, which lies in our emotional place and our connection to our soul, which is all mainly ruled by, or at least supported through, an infinite wisdom. Those two areas of our life are constantly in conflict. One is thought, one is feeling. So what I came to understand is that oftentimes throughout our entire days and our life, we're constantly dividing because we're in conflict between what we think and what we feel. One's a knowing, a wisdom that embraces everything that we are and the truth of what this true existence is. And then one is an idea and an actual hope or an understanding of life that comes intellectually. So in order to mend these, we have to get them to work together. We have to be able to embrace our spirit as we think, and to actually think about feelings and feel what we think. And so that's a difficult thing to do. And that is what I believe Spirit was trying to tell me, is to actually teach people how to mesh the two, how to be able to join your spirit with humanity, to find a comfortable balance between the two. And then to go out individually, collectively, to try and mend the heal the divide throughout the world. And so at the seminar, I spoke about this. And the divide that I speak about, if you look throughout the world, recent times, not so far back, if we go into the last couple of years, we're seeing a lot of prejudice emerge again. We're seeing a lot of people with different opinions arguing and fighting to be right. We're seeing a divide again. We're seeing people separating and trying so hard to get what they can and feel validated with what they feel, rather than caring about other people. And I spoke of this and something called the universal energy throughout the world. And the universal energy, if you're a spiritual person, you will understand this, is a life force energy that flows through each and every person throughout this entire world. Basically, an understanding of that would be anything that I do will affect somebody who lives halfway across the world. And so it's so very important for us to individually change our lives to become better people, to heighten our energy, our spiritual energy, and to come from a place of love and compassion and empathy and kindness. And that will eventually heal the world. So at the seminar, unfortunately, I was told to speak about this because the universal energy had been at an all-time low. It has not been this low for many, many, many years. So that is what also got me a little nervous, because I knew that it being so low, the universe was going to actually do something to create awareness again. Now, so many of you have reached out and have mentioned to me that they believe God is the reason this is happening. God is unhappy with us. This is God punishing us in some way. I have to tell you, and again, it's my opinion, but I can only speak of what I hear and what I've learned through the channeling and mediumship that I've done for 21 years. And I hope no one takes offense to this, but we have conveniently, in time and over time, made God something manageable. We have made God something that's convenient for us to understand and created God to be a human. Now, if you really understand, we believe in God, and we want God to be this guiding light, this figure of hope, this inspiration that motivates us to become better individuals. So in order to do that, wouldn't God have to be greater and better than we could ever imagine? I don't understand how people can find it comfortable to make God a human, to make God feel like, or have judgment, or to condemn, or to hurt, or to blame. Those are all human emotions. Those are not spiritual existences. Those are not anything to do with God. And from what I've learned throughout my years of doing this and through my own mediumship and my own meditations is that God is a loving energy, far greater than we as humans can understand. And there is no judgment on that being's part of us. It actually is us judging ourselves. And this is also the reason the universal energy is a collective energy that runs throughout each one of us in the entire world. So we are responsible for creating this, not God. God actually gives us this grand opportunity of life, this experience to come here and to be able to go through these situations. And oftentimes, if you think about it, it's through our trauma, our pain, our hurt, our frustration, our exhaustion that we learn our greatest tests. And those are strength and faith and hope. So it's through these difficult times that we need to embrace our faith in God, not fear God, not feel pity because we did something wrong. We need to embrace our spirit and also then embrace our faith in God, which will then help us to see clear through this darkness. That's exactly what I define faith as. Faith is the light that leads you in the direction of where you need to be and where you need to go to find your greatest and highest good. And so, it isn't God that did this to us. This is not having anything to do with God. In fact, God, I'm sure, weeps more than we do. God wants us to love and embrace, to hold on to dear life while we go through this tragedy, and to feel for other people, to embrace unity and selflessness, not divide and selfishness. He wants us to actually become a leader of some sort and to then fix our existence individually, then collectively changing the world. So I ask each one of you during this difficult time, this horrific time, to not think about what you have and how much you have and what you need to get by with. But on the flip side of that, start to feel and think what other people are going through. Start to sit in that for a moment and send them peace and love. Send them a virtual hug and a whole lot of compassion. There's so many people hurting in this existence right now. And so many of us are seeing the best of some people come out and the worst of others. In fact, so many people are out there still judging, pointing the finger, looking to place blame. That is embracing your ego, the human side, and certainly you're not going to find you a solution, or at least a solution that will find you peace. What we need to do, each one of us, is to stop feeding negatives. We need to stop putting negativity out there. It doesn't matter whose fault it is. It doesn't matter where it came from. It doesn't matter at this point who's right or who's wrong. What matters is that we have people suffering. We have great loss throughout the world. And we need to start healing. If you feed the negative to a negative, it only makes it stronger. So all of you out there who choose to be online, posting these posts, political posts, religious posts, stop. Stop yourself. And instead, post an inspirational video, a motivational video, something that will make somebody smile or feel good. Because what you're doing by posting those other posts is that you're actually giving a steak to a lion and hoping that that lion goes away. It's not going to happen. We need collectively every single person to start acting as the best version of themselves, to start caring about others, start lifting their presence up, and to start leading by example. And we can slow this down drastically, eventually stopping it from hurting one more person. Please, I stress the importance of this, because this, I don't know in my lifetime if I've seen something as horrific as this. And never before did I imagine that something like this could happen. My worry is this: if we don't get it, that there's a possibility of worse happening. Can't imagine, right? But we never did before this happened. So let me tell you, this is a wake-up call, a global wake-up call for each one of us to stop, to notice what our lives are about, what our intentions are, and what our motives are. And we need to go back and release our past, let go of all the situations that have created pain and anguish and hurt and fear in our lives, and start to look forward with a different outlook. Start to embrace your spirit, to emotionally find yourself a support system for yourself, to take responsibility for your actions, your motives, your intentions, to start loving yourself on a grander level that won't allow you to be judgmental or hurtful or hateful in any way. And I promise you, by us all taking our own little individual world and changing it, collectively we can then change the entire world. I promise you that this is the solution to this horrific situation that's going on. And it hurts my heart that in order for us to learn, we have to lose people. We have to go through a tragedy, a complete catastrophic situation that we are going through. It's unfortunate. But if we take the good of it and we understand it spiritually, it's meant for greater change. And so, please, come together as a nation. Come together. Call your friends. Call your family. Speak nothing but positive. Don't fear. Don't sit in fear. Don't wallow in fear. Don't be overwhelmed with anxiety and stress. Take this time to get to know yourself, to rebuild the foundation of becoming a better version of you. Start looking at your future as an opportunity to do anything and everything you ever wanted, but most importantly, for others, not only yourself. I really, really hope and pray that you enjoy this video. I hope that you will take some of it, even just a little bit of it, and use it to help other people or just inspire yourself. I thank you all for watching, and I am, to answer a lot of your questions, I am still doing readings only by phone. I'm doing FaceTime and I'm doing by phone. So if you're interested, you can just let me know. Call my office and I'd be glad to set one up for you. I'm also doing spiritual and intuitive counseling for those of you who are living with that anxiety and stress that I told you about. But I have full faith in all of you, and I am so grateful to be a small part of this healing process for all of you and for you to be of me. I thank you for your love and support. It has fueled me, and it keeps me going and inspires me to do more. So once again, I hope and pray that you are well. I wish you nothing but happiness and awareness and enlightenment during this very difficult time. And please always know that I'm here for you. I love you, and that I am very much excited about the new beginnings that we'll share in the future. So thank you once again. God bless and stay well.